Zayd ibn Su'unnah radiyallahu anhu was a rabbi. He says that before the arrival of the Prophet, when I heard about the coming of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, I observed him closely. I found in him every sign and every description mentioned in our scriptures, except two. And the two were that never is anyone ignorant towards him except that he faces that ignorance and that insolence with forbearance and patience and wisdom. And the other side, and the more someone is ignorant towards him, the more patient and forbearing he is. And the other side is that he does not meet evil with evil, rather he meets evil with good. So he said, I saw every other sign in him except these two. So I wanted to test him. So on one occasion, I was observing him, and he came out of his house with Ali radiyallahu anhu. And a rider from amongst the Bedouin came and said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in my region there is a famine, and there is shortage of food, and the people have just embraced, and I fear that in their despair they may turn away from religion. So, O Messenger of Allah, is there any way that we can assist them? Do you have anything? So the Prophet ﷺ turned to Ali radiyallahu anhu and said to him that, do we have any of the produce from such and such an orchard? So Ali radiyallahu anhu said, no, O Messenger of Allah. So the Prophet ﷺ said then he asked about, so he said, is there any produce, i.e. dates left from that orchard? He said, no. So Zayd ibn Su'unnah says, then I realized that this is my opportunity. So I seized the opportunity and I came forward. And I said, oh Mohammed, I am willing to give you money now. This is known as salam, the bay'u salam, where basically you pay up front and expect the produce or the goods afterwards. So he said that, I will give you money now, I'll make the payments now, and at this fixed period, at the time of the harvest, you can deliver the dates to me. So from such and such an orchard. So the Prophet ﷺ said, I'll accept, but not from this specific orchard, but I will give you your dates. So they agreed. So Zayd ibn Su'unnah took out the gold sovereigns and gave them to the Prophet ﷺ, and they fixed a term by which the Prophet ﷺ would deliver the dates to him. And the Prophet ﷺ then gave the money to the Bedouin and said, make use of this and purchase foodstuff for these people. Zayd ibn Su'unnah says that I waited till the end of the term, but not right till the end. Actually, a few days before the end of the term, I went to the Prophet ﷺ. And he was returning from a funeral, and he had many of his companions around him. So in front of everyone, even though the term had not come to an end, I walked up to him and I actually grabbed him by the collar, and I twisted the collar and pushed him, and I said, oh Mohammed, where is my money? Where is my debt? Repay me. And then he said, again, he added insult to injury by saying that, Muhammad, I know you, all you sons of Abdul Muttalib, your clan of Abdul Muttalib, you are notorious for defaulting on your payments. So pay me. Umar radiyallahu anhu was standing there. So Zayd ibn Su'unnah says he himself, and in fact, this story is also narrated by Abdullah ibn Salam radiyallahu anhu. So he narrates the story himself, and Abdullah ibn Salam, the other Jewish rabbi, relates the story of this rabbi. So Umar radiyallahu anhu was standing close by him. When the companions saw what he was doing, they were enraged, And Umar radiallahu anh shouted and said to him, if it wasn't for the Messenger of Allah, I would split your skull into two. He said, Ya aduwallahu, enemy of Allah, if it wasn't for the Messenger of Allah, I would split your skull into two. So the Prophet Zayd ibn Su'annah says, all the while, no matter what I did, and despite the threats of Umar radiallahu anh, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he did not react. The most he did, he was staring at Umar radiallahu anh, and then he smiled. And then he said, oh Umar, something other than this. Both he and I need something other than this. What we require from you is not this, but for you to say to me, repay his debt. And for you to say to him, ask for your due and your right in a better manner. This is what we both require from you. Something other than this, O Umar ibn al-Khattab. Then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that you will receive your produce. So he promised him, and then he went. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam turned to Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu and said, go to such and such a place and repay him. I'm summarizing the story. Repay him. And then he said that give him 20 sa' extra. Why? In compensation for you having terrified him. So Umar radiyallahu anhu went and he delivered the goods to him, and then he gave him extra dates. When he delivered the extra dates to him, 20 sa', if I remember correctly, each sa' is about 3.5 kilograms. So Zayd ibn Su'annah said, what's this? So Umar radiyallahu anhu said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam instructed me to give you these extra dates as compensation for me having threatened you and terrified you. So Zayd ibn Su'annah accepted. Then he said to Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu, he said, oh Umar, do you know who I am? Now Umar radiyallahu anhu, obviously by sight, he didn't know who he was. So he said, no. So he said, I am Zayd. So he said, which Zayd? So he said, I am Zayd ibn Su'annah. So Umar radiyallahu anhu said, he had heard of him. He didn't know him personally, but he had heard of him. He said, Zayd ibn Su'annah, the rabbi? He said, yes. So he said, a person such as you, of that standing, learning and caliber, how could someone like you speak to the Messenger of Allah in that rude, insolent manner? So Zayd ibn Su'annah radiyallahu anhu said, oh Umar, I had studied the scriptures and the person of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I had found every description of him to be true except for two, which I had not yet discovered. And he mentioned the two, which is that the more ignorance that is shown to him, the more he responds with forbearance, patience and wisdom, and that he does not repel or requite evil with evil, rather he repels and requites evil with good. So he said, I wanted to test him, and I have discovered that even these two signs are to be found in him. O Umar, I declare that there is no God except Allah, and that Mohammed ibn Abdullah is the Prophet and the Messenger of Allah. He said, take me to him. And he said, O Umar, I also make you a witness that half of my wealth I give as charity to the poor amongst the Muslims.